holiday season, when we put up the tree, decorate the wreath, drink hot cocoa, play in the snow, listen to Mariah Carey everywhere we go, watch the old movies our parents and grandparents liked, or Hallmark movies, and what else? You know what else. Bring reading into your Christmas too. Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens is the Christmas story that stands above all other Christmas stories. It heralds the spirit of goodness and love that define the best parts of the holidays. You may have seen one of the 2 or 3 million adaptations of this classic, but I am telling you, bring this into your holiday experience. I'm going to tell you how I get the most out of this classic, and you might find yourself even shedding a tear of joy as you read this. A Christmas Carol is short enough to fit into any busy schedule. It's less than 100 pages, about 5 chapters. Its brevity and pacing make it seamlessly suited for so many of these adaptations on TV, stage, and film. Most people have hazy fragments about what this story is. They know of Scrooge and maybe Tiny Tim, and there's some ghosts, and there's a change of heart. Here's a 10-second synopsis. Old moneylender Scrooge is alone on Christmas Eve working away. He's visited by his former co-worker who's been deceased for 7 years, Marley. Marley shows up dragging chains, and he regrets how he misspent his life, and now as a ghost is no longer able to help people and make amends. Scrooge has spent his whole life idolizing money. All of his relationships are purely transactional. Compassion has no value in his world of finance. But the ghost of Marley tells Scrooge he's going to be visited by 3 different ghosts, whether Scrooge wants him there or not. And Scrooge still has time to make amends and change the course of his life. This story stands above all other Christmas stories because of the mix of emotions and the vivid characters. Let's start by being clear, this is funny. Dickens is the narrator, and he uses very dry humor to keep the tone light throughout the story. Scrooge is mean, he's rich, he's a grouch. If he were around today, he'd be laying off workers and taking TRT and launching rockets into space. But he's also kind of a buffoon. He's so over the top in his pettiness, and then when the spirits begin showing up, you find that he's such a coward too. Here he is in just the first few pages. His nephew has stopped by to invite him to Christmas dinner, and Scrooge has given him the old bah humbug. So his nephew says, "You don't mean that, I am sure." "I do," said Scrooge. "Merry Christmas. What right have you to be merry? What reason have you to be merry? You're poor enough." "Come then," returned the nephew gaily. "What right have you to be dismal? What reason have you to be morose? You're rich enough." Scrooge, having no better answer ready on the spur of the moment, said, "Bah," again, and followed it up with humbug. He's so bitter about the most trivial things, including his clerk having a single coal to warm himself on a cold wintry night. And we laugh because Dickens laughs and the other characters in the story laugh, and we all know that he is missing the point of Christmas. But it's not long into the story before Scrooge begins his journey of self-reflection. The ghost of Marley shows up and he's in chains, and it's a real spooky element. It's not festive. Marley carries so much remorse because he's no longer able to make amends for the way he lived his life. Instead, he's doomed to watch the living, but he's no longer able to intervene for anybody's betterment. And he's not alone. His outcome is not singular. When he whisks away from Scrooge, he goes off and joins a swarm of many other ghosts, all who have lived the same life and who now carry the same regrets. So Scrooge has taken on 3 different separate visits over the course of 3 chapters. The first is the ghost of Christmas past, then the ghost of Christmas present, and then the ghost of Christmas future. And during these visits, we see moments in Scrooge's life that are so relatable, even if we don't really sympathize with Scrooge yet. The art of these visitations is that they will naturally encourage us to reflect on ourselves and how we live. And moments in these visits are so heartfelt and touching. So I'll give just a few quick examples. Early on in his life, we go and see him as a schoolboy, and he's neglected by his fellow schoolmates, and we feel a little bad because he is so lonely and neglected. And then a little bit later in his life, he's starting out in his career, and we see him undergo heartbreak because he's chosen money over love. And then halfway through the story, Tiny Tim shows up. Tiny Tim, this virtuous character who is so frail in body, but he is just the virtue of humanity and heart. and we think how fortunate it must be to be in a position to help another. And then we see his potential future, and the only people who are moved are those who owe him money. And they're relieved because no creditor could be worse than Scrooge, not Sally Mae or Nelnet or Advantage. And if you're a reader, I'm going to guess that you probably already have a kinder heart than Scrooge. But A Christmas Carol will still prompt us to have these moments of self-reflection and how we show up for others. Are we on our way to becoming the person that we want to be? Are we treating those we care about in a way that lets them know that we care about them? Are we present in the company of our family and friends and with ourselves? The story is not preachy. It's going to come to you naturally. So you combine this plot and these elements and you're just going to feel good and generous as you read this. Scrooge's nephew sums up the mood of the book early on. Here he is, replying to Scrooge about why he values Christmas. I am sure I have always thought of Christmas time, when it has come round, apart from the veneration due to its sacred name and origin, if anything belonging to it can be apart from that, as a good time, a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time, the only time I know of in the long calendar of the year, when men and women seem by one consent to open their shut-up hearts freely and to think of other people below them as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave and not another race of creatures bound on other journeys. And therefore, uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe that it has done me good and will do me good, and I say, God bless it. Here's how to get the most out of it. Slow down as you read. Savor it. Indulge in a chapter a night. A Christmas Carol is like being invited into a warm home. Dinner's being prepared and friends and family are trickling in, and you are invited to just settle in, enjoy the warmth. When you get to the passages where Dickens is describing the food on the table or the games being played, just enjoy the moments because Dickens is there at the table with you. I generally favor slow reading for fiction because it gives you time to be with the characters and fill in the scene in your imagination and empathize with the characters. Put yourself in their position. Slow reading creates a space to feel the work and form a perspective. Dickens, and especially the short story, is so well suited to be read aloud, or at least at a pace that matches reading aloud. Subvocalize. Speaking of reading aloud, when Dickens began doing public appearances, A Christmas Carol was the first story he performed. He was able to assume all of the characters, take on their intonations and mannerisms, and it really furthered his reputation. Remember, Dickens was writing to entertain wide audiences. He's not a stodgy academic aiming just to please pretentious readers. He uses every tool available to a writer: comedy, tragedy, round and flat characters, captivating plots that will pull you along, stylistic flourishes. His goal is to give you a good time. Dickens had a very, very rough life, and then he had a very good life. He could speak to people of all social backgrounds during his lifetime, and to me that is why he's so vibrant today. Let me know what you think of this one, and what other stories are complementing your holiday reading. I appreciate you joining me. Please like and subscribe. Give me a nod that I should keep making these. And while I have you, let me show you one other thing. Dickens wrote tons of Christmas stories. He wrote a whole book of short stories about Christmas, and he wrote a bunch of Christmas novellas. And I'm happy to show these off because nobody in my real life cares. So that's just why we start YouTube channels. And I've read a bunch of them. A Christmas Carol stands far above as far as capturing the essence of Christmas as we understand it today. Some of these are actually pretty dark, but if you're interested in more Dickens and more Christmas, check these out. Thanks for indulging me. Thank you for joining me today, and go forth in kindness.